the spectrum of comic book writing, it can be a too rigid full script or too loose plot first. Can we find a happy medium? Welcome to my channel, KC, that's me, Carrie Chug, the Sledge storyteller, here to talk about the wonderful world of storytelling and to open up discussion about how we can tell the best stories we possibly can. So very rarely when we read comics do we stop and wonder if the story we're reading was fully scripted or grew from a plot first method, also called the Marvel method. So stands to reason if you're reading a Marvel comic, it's probably something that was put together from the Marvel method. But within these two methods, there have been several individual methods that have been implemented by various comic creators, putting their own spin on the thing. But the basic definition of a full script is writing much the same thing as a screenplay, except the events described in the story are broken into pages and panels. Also included is dialogue and the sound effects, and if there is neither to be featured in a panel, the writer puts in no copy to help the artist not have to second guess that that was your intention. Now the Marvel method, the general outline of the story is communicated to the artist who draws out the story according to that outline, and the writer then writes in the dialogue, and it's important to emphasize how this method was originally developed by the late, much heralded Stan Lee, as so eloquently told by the also late and much heralded Dennis O'Neil. As he put it in the DC Comics Guide to Writing Comics, when Stan was creating Marvel, he was writing the entire line of magazines virtually alone, about 14 superhero titles, some westerns, some humor books, and occasional odd projects that don't categorize easily. He was also editing all of the above, writing ad copy, supervising a staff, doing radio interviews, assembling letters pages, conferring with artists, and attending publishing meetings. I don't know if he was sleeping, maybe not. He just didn't have time for full scripts. Now, over time, Stan and the rest of the Marvel staff decided that this method was getting them better results than from the full script option, and it became their writing standard. Still, Stan Lee recommended that any beginning writer should start off with a full script method to get a grasp on just what goes into structure and pacing. But ultimately, which is better? Like with several topics I've covered, I don't believe in a one-size-fits-all. One reason a writer might prefer a full script is because they want control over the story, and it's out of pride in their creativity. Oftentimes it's their baby. But that's one idea a writer needs to step away from, unless you're both the writer and the artist. You need to step back and realize that you're part of a collaborative effort. If you feel that your artist is worthy of your project, you have to believe that they have their own talent in storytelling. Think about how the collaboration means that there's a second point of view. Never believe that your artist should slavishly follow your lead, and make sure the artist knows that they can come to you if they have any issues with certain parts of the script. But here, the structure can be pre-established, and both collaborators can discuss potential changes along the way from a ready reference. Now, what's interesting about the Marvel method is that it has several levels of implementation. My previous description of it was how Stan Lee was initially doing it with such experienced and talented artists as Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko. But over time, those artists developed enough as storytellers by the 60s, when so many of the core Marvel characters were created, that all they needed was a basic premise covered in like a 30-second phone call. And from there, they created many beloved stories, and beloved stories continue from there even to today. It helps that the Marvel method is a very adaptable option. Like that 30-second phone call approach between Stan Lee and Jack Kirby I mentioned, I personally would only justify that if you're in Stan's situation of shouldering so many titles with artists who are talented enough to carry the bulk of the story's production. But most artists are going to expect you to have a well fleshed out plot to follow if you're going to use this method, and there's no limit to how elaborate you can be in writing it, though dialogue will of course be left out. So whichever method you choose, you want to collaborate as closely with your artist as possible. Now, almost 800 miles come between me and artist John Rawson, so we stay in touch through the process, answering any questions either one of us have from the other through correspondence. I'm glad to have had a glimpse into his knack for storytelling with his concurrent project, Orion's Bridge, worthy of a plug, and I have loved seeing what additional strengths he can add to my story. But there are many communication options nowadays that help out a ton with email, chat, and Zoom. But the full script sampling I showed you earlier comes from Sledge number 1, but since writing that script, my writing approach has evolved. It's not a clear-cut full script, and I have Doug Monk of such titles as Batman, Moon Knight, and Master of Kung Fu to thank for giving me an option I can feel good about, because he has the same feeling about the creative process that I do. This from an interview with John B. Cook in the publication Comic Book Artist. I just wasn't confident that someone else could do it, and if they did, didn't that make them the writer of the story? I mean, I was doing the word balloons, but still. Because I had done so many scripts, I decided to try for the best of both worlds. I'll do it real tight, a real long detailed plot, but it won't read panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. I'll do it in paragraphs, and each paragraph can be a single panel, where the artist can break each paragraph into 2 or 3 panels, or combine 2 paragraphs into 1 panel. That way the artist can still have the freedom of storytelling if he chooses to take it, or if they felt more comfortable following the exact way it is written, artists can do that too. So the writer's job is to envision where the story will go, but I admit I need every reason I can get to have my contribution be vital to the story, and taking Doug's approach is a big help in gaining that sense. But that's my insight on comic writing methods. Agree, disagree, something I left out? Please let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, please click like. If you like this channel, please click subscribe or follow me on Instagram. The link to order Sledge number 1 is always below the description, or you can order it on Kindle. Let's all look for civility amid all the bad news out there about social and political strife, as well as the pandemic. Feels like we're getting closer, but something seems to be slowing us down. Maybe people are just not doing what they should, but please, let's do what the expert tells us to do. Let's wear our masks. Even if you've been vaccinated, I've been vaccinated for almost a month now. Please get your vaccination if you have the opportunity. But thanks for watching, and God bless.